And go live.
Okay.
Perfect. So I think I'm live. I'm going to check another device and see here. Yay.
Okay, at least my picture's back.
Yep. Okay. Well, welcome everyone who is live with us in cyberspace here. I am Dr. Danielle Plummer. I'm a pharmacist, and I have a specialty working with women with extreme nausea and vomiting in pregnancy. Because of this, these women come to me saying, so many of them, cannabis is the only thing that is working with them. I've interviewed and spoken with many other practitioners in this space and was fortunate one day to have Richard here watching one of our commentaries and saying, do you know about the financial implications? So Richard, I would like you to introduce yourself because this world is so foreign to me. I do not know the financial implications, how it affects your insurances. We'll get into what type of insurance and where to go from there. But go ahead, give yourself an introduction. For some reason, we can't get you on your video today, but we got your picture up there. So thank you for joining us. Tell us who you are.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Danielle. It's my pleasure to be on the call today. And my background, I was in the military for 21 years and retired back in 1998. However, about 3 years before I retired, I was introduced to the financial services and insurance industry and began a part-time career in that field until I retired in 98. And now I've been doing it 27 years. And through that process, I've had the pleasure and displeasure of helping people and then being on the bad side and telling them they couldn't get insurance because of whether it was habits with their car driving or their smoking or other uses of illegal and semi-illegal substances. So that has led me to watch your presentation with Dr. Swathi. And that was fascinating. That I had just had a client that got disapproved for life insurance, and she had a 3-year-old daughter that she was not going to be able to take care of because of life's events. So it just brought it to the forefront again that everybody needs to get educated on the do's and don'ts and what some of the ramifications are. So it's my pleasure again to be here with you.
Thanks. And I always like to just let everybody know anything we discussed today is just for information only, whether it's about your health, your finances. Please do consult your own practitioners. Richard, I know you're always available. I don't know, again, finance world is so different. Licensing is so different from the world I come from in healthcare. So do please, but you are available for information for sure. Everyone connect with us online. And I'll just make a little plug. If anyone is suffering from a very sick pregnancy, I do have a free support group on Facebook. Reach out to me here or there and we'll connect you. But without further ado then, so when you mention insurance, okay, the first thing that came to my mind in health is health insurance, because I see when these women with maternal complications go into the hospital, a lot of them don't want to admit that they've been using cannabis. Now, this could be something that they were users before they got pregnant, which is completely different in my eyes than somebody who was not using it before, becomes pregnant, is very sick, has tried a plethora of different medications, the adverse effects outweigh the benefits, and they turn to cannabis and they're using it for medicinal purposes. Doesn't matter what the spectrum is though, and whether you're pregnant or not. Richard, as a financial advisor, you see this all ages, all walks of life, how it can affect your financial health. So in the medical world, we talk about what's your disease state, how are we going to help you get over this disease state if it's possible to, if not, how do you live with it? And finances are often left out of the conversation. And what I find is there's 3 types of health: physical health, mental health, and financial health that all tie in. You're in the financial side of this. So, oh my goodness, when we talk about insurance, by coincidence, my daughter and I were just doing a budget and I looked at what I pay for all my homeowners, my health, my life, my auto. I'm missing one. It's so much. So somebody like you, Richard, can then put all this together, look at your lifestyle and find the best plan for you. Is that correct? Oh, and business insurance, right? If you own your business.
And business as well. Yeah. So as a broker, so I represent about 100 different companies in that space, whether it's Prudential, Nationwide, the name brands that you typically see, Gerber. But again, the old ostrich with its head in the sand is where I see a lot of people that are just choose to ignore the subject rather than to investigate it and research it. So,
Yeah.
it covers, again, it affects, uh, let's talk about life. Life insurance rates will typically be double or declined if someone is found to be using cannabis, even in small quantities.
So
And
how do they know? Are they
so
making you do a test of some sort?
yeah, they do. So typically when a person comes to me and says, I need life insurance, the industry has underwriting guides that they use.
Okay.
And in that process, they pull your pharmaceuticals, they pull your driving record, they pull your credit
Oh.
report. And so it's a pretty extensive underwriting, and it could typically take 4 to 6 weeks, probably 8 weeks at the most. I've seen some it take 3 or 4 months, depending on the doctor's ability to get information back to us
Mm.
and the reluctance of some doctors or patients to give it to us.
Mhm.
So it does affect car driving rates, uh, double, triple, sometimes denial.
So
Uh,
let's break that one down then. Car driving is auto insurance. I live in one of the most expensive. You're in Las Vegas as well. I'm in Las Vegas. One of the most expensive, if not the most expensive, I think is at Clark County or City of Las Vegas. I'm not sure. You'll know more about this. We have the most expensive auto insurance rates of anywhere in the country. This blew my mind. And I'll have to tell you, when I was living as a Marine Corps spouse for many years, and when we were in North Carolina, I was paying like $24 a month. This was a decade ago. I moved to Virginia for a year. It like doubled to 48. I moved to Las Vegas. This was about I'm going to say 2013. It went to 100 a month, and now, and knock on wood, like perfectly beautifully clean record. I have me, my daughter, and 2 cars, and I'm looking at like $450 a month. And that does not include my homeowner's insurance. So I was just like, just because I bought a car recently, we're looking at this. Now I have this clean record. If I were to, how would the auto insurance companies know that I'm a cannabis user?
so they, on particular applications, they will obviously on the medical underwriting, it's a health insurance application.
Okay, that's
So
different. I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, and then on your driving record, of course, there are questions when you apply for coverage for your homeowner's auto insurance,
Mhm.
and it's driven by your zip code where you live and where you work. So
Mhm.
being Vegas is the entertainment capital of the
Yeah.
world, and your occupation may or may not be above board to earn a living in Las Vegas.
Mhm.
They also know that uh, as an example, if your business is, uh, well, let's just say it, a male strip club,
Uh,
your rates will be double or decline just based on your occupation, because
wow.
they know in those environments that there's a higher percentage or probability of uh, drug use, more violence in a particular zip code. And so it really does rely on your zip code for auto insurance. And, um, the corner of Trop and Flamingo is the most dangerous corner in the world.
For those not from Las Vegas, you could just Google map that one. Yeah, so no, this is fascinating to me. So, okay, I want to break down 2 things there. You said it's health insurance. They're asking you that question. How do the auto insurance companies know? Okay, so they're asking what who your employer is, of course, right? Now, in my case, like I'm a pharmacist, I work for a diagnostics company, which this discussion has nothing to do with. So that disclaimer as well. But I work from home and I travel. I thought it was not by zip code here, but by our county. Is that not correct? Because that's what everybody's told me.
So that's not correct as far as your individual auto and home policies.
Hmm.
And again, big brother, big sister, whoever you want to call them in government,
Mhm.
and underwriters and insurance companies as a whole,
Mhm.
can dig down and drill down into that lifestyle as far as they want to go if they suspect. And again, their business is to make money just like any other business, and to
Mhm.
take the higher risk people and charge them more. That's their job. And
Hmm.
so there's little that's not off the table when they decide to look. And the questionnaires can get extensive on how much you use per day as far as drug use, alcohol use, tobacco use, and they take it down to the granular level. And then we shop it to other companies that may be less restrictive. And
And
so
this is for which insurance?
it doesn't matter. Homeowners
Doesn't
insurance,
matter.
boaters, renters, health, life, disability, long-term care. So they can get pretty nasty and you know, it's their business model, right? I mean, they want to make money, but they want to take on reasonable risk.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this. I'm still not sure I understand this 100%. How do the auto, like I recently changed plan, got a new car, I was changing plans because my daughter got her license. And I was just blown away at the rates. Now we know cost of living, everything's gone up. We know we live in an area with high insurance rates because of everything you just mentioned. Also, we have a lot of drunk drivers here, and we have a lot of people from different driving styles that move here from different countries and different areas of the country. And we have these very high rates. So again, I just want to clarify, how do they know if you're a cannabis user then? You're saying the auto insurance company is partnering with a third party that looks at your health history?
So so they can look at the, well, let's take your auto insurance. So your driving habits, right? Mileage to and from work, the age of the primary driver, any attached kids that will be allowed to drive your car.
Yeah.
Which is the biggest factor is having a youth on your policy.
Okay.
And so if there's any way that you can, you know, avoid that, right? Make them a business partner. I mean, there's lots of ways to mitigate or lower that cost of insurance for a youth through driving education courses, those types of things, and lower that. Their job may have an opportunity to let them be covered under an auto policy if they're a truck driver for the company and pawn that off to the truck drivers on the employer's policy.
Interesting.
So there are ways to do that. And again, your driving habits, the age of the car has a lot to do with it, and whether it's got full coverage or no coverage. You know, if you have an older car, why have comprehensive insurance on it? You're not going to get that dent fixed. And so just by raising your deductible, taking on a little bit more risk yourself will lower your premiums. So as an example, most people just claim the minimum $250 deductible. And just by calling the company and saying, could you run me another rate at $500 or $1,000 deductible, you might save $80 to $100 a month on your auto rate just by you taking on a little bit more of that risk. And people say, well, I don't have $2,500 in case I have an auto accident. Well, that's where the financial planning comes in. If you don't have $2,500 is sitting around somewhere, then you may have some other issues with getting kicked out of your apartment and having to move into another apartment. So they all kind of tie together. And that's what I do is, you know, kind of look at all that stuff and say, habits, health, wealth, all those things that, you know, if I can, you know, mitigate all that stuff and then be honest with people, just tell them you're going to use cannabis. Here's all the consequences of doing that. And the law, you know, even though they're having, you know, discussions now in Washington, and that's why we kind of hope to generate more interest in this topic, is to, you know, finally get it from a federal illegal substance to a one of right now the 38 states that have legalized it, and 19 marijuana legal, you know, marijuana is illegal in 19 states. You know, that's where the controversy is kind of coming from, right? You know, federal and state have different laws, and you know, it's still CBD is still not in there. The only carrier, I mean, so there's about the one thing I did want to address is that CBDs are only approved for the treatment of epilepsy.
Through the FDA.
Through the FDA. And so now that's the big disconnect is between the federal side and the FDA approving for CBD use. Um,
Which is federal as well, right?
yes.
The FDA is, but when we're looking, I'm gonna go back again to, we live in Las Vegas. It's legal for everything here now. It first became medicinally legal, then recreational legal, and you just smell it everywhere. If you go to any parking garage at any casino in our city, you're going to smell. And I always think like, who's using it in the parking garage? Like, are you not driving? Somebody should, but yeah, no, so it is in a very state by state. And I'm going to take it back to the maternal health that I work with on the I just have these women reaching out to me going, I know this is the only thing that's working for me. The studies are conflicting. I cannot advocate it till I get better clinical studies that show the safety, not just for the mom, but the long-term implications of that baby as that baby is born and grows. But they're all reaching out to me for help and advice. And this is something that I don't think anyone has thought about. Now, we know in the hospital, depending which state, they might just be terrified to tell the doctor, yes, I'm using this. And it seems to really vary as far as if they are in an emergency room or a medical practitioner where they're going to get this urine test done that's going to show if they're a user or not. Here, I didn't think CBD was an issue at all. We talked about cannabidiols many, many times, the different ways, the topicals, like the creams, they help with less restless leg syndrome. There's so much you can use it for, the drops. But when we talk about marijuana, that is a whole nother deal here. Even in Las Vegas, we have different dispensaries, they're licensed separately. And like you said, federally illegal, where the CBD is under that Farm Act. But you sent me some really interesting information. It was the Center for Insurance Policy and Research. It was NAIC.org. And they're saying federally, even if it is a CBD from hemp, there still might be complications. No, well, complications might not be the wrong word. I'm thinking like a medical clinician here, but financial implications from using CBD as well. How does that come into play?
Yeah. So in the applications, again, there are, the policeman that pulls you over and you say, well, I have a medical marijuana card, and that's a fine. And again, the dosage and the circumstance behind that pullover and the write-up that the doctors, quite frankly, put into their records, and how often, the reasons for that CBD use that you've approved or recommended, goes in a long way in determining if the insurance companies, whether it's auto, life, health insurance, takes that into consideration. So be upfront. There was who was it? I'm not up on the scriptures, but in John 8:31, he says, the truth will set you free. And the more you can be upfront and transparent with the insurance companies, the more likely that they will give you leniency. One company, Pacific Life, very open and lenient towards usage and higher approval rates. So
okay, I have to repeat that because that's a huge statement that, to change a thought pattern here. So the more open and upfront you are, they might be more lenient to proving you. That's huge.
Yes. So again, if you fail to disclose, they're going after more items to
That makes sense. Yep.
Say, hey, I use it once a week. Great. Well, okay, then here's your cost of insurance, whether it's auto, home, life, disability, long-term care. Well, if I use it 4 times a month, same thing, right? I mean, it's once a week, right? But if you're a daily user, and then they figure, well, how many days a week do you drive under the influence of a substance if you're using it on a daily basis? So there's ways, again, and that's the doctor-patient, right, disclosure that they're going to find out about anyway, by the way, because that's, part of their insurance underwriting, right? To be
So
able
when
to
you
do
say
that.
you're saying it doesn't matter what type of insurance. I think I'm still missing that connection. How do the auto insurance companies know about your medical habits?
So under HIPAA, right, there are still laws that allow the insurance companies, and when you apply for life insurance or auto insurance, you sign a waiver basically saying that they have the right to, right, investigate through your credit report, your driving record, your employer, that those, because you're asking them to insure you. right? I mean,
How do
they're,
they get access? Like, how would an auto insurance company get access then? Obviously, HIPAA gives it permission, but to your health records.
yeah, so on the applications, the client actually signs a HIPAA waiver.
Okay, now, like, I got to go back and see. Everybody read those documents that you sign. It's like pages of the little print, and they're like initial here, initial there, right?
Yes, that's
There's a
correct.
HIPAA release in there. Oh
Yes,
my goodness.
yes. And so, again, my focus today was just try to get the word out that
Mhm.
transparency is good, because it right now we're in that calamitous period where federal law says nay, state law says yay,
Depending on
and
the
the
state.
medical and insurance fields are kind of going back and forth on, well, should she tell me? No. And then we say yes, and we got to get Congress to open that door as well. So that's why I sent you the link on the upcoming webinar for the November 29th.
And please do share that. If anyone's with us today and they want to know how to watch that, would you post that? I guess we could post it in the comments. We can post it on both of our pages as well. So it's NAIC.org, the Center for Insurance Policy and Research. Let's get this federally. I don't know. There's a big debate in our country right now, right? Federal and state, and who has better oversight. Right now, where we are today, though, states are the ones in charge, still federally illegal when it comes to cannabis use. CBD, again, hemp act, federally a commodity now, but you're saying the insurance companies are not necessarily differentiating between the two. If you have anything that has a psychoactive ingredient in it, or does it not even matter, Richard?
The psychological, so again, the pharmacist, we use formularies just like the doctors do.
You do. Okay, I got to pause there for a second. You use formularies like the doctors do as a broker you're looking at for that to get with the insurance companies?
Correct. So when we underwrite medical insurance,
Mhm.
and on the applications, we ask the patients to list down all the drugs that they use
Mhm.
and the dosages. And then that goes into the matrix for the formula. And I just wrote it down. Oh, so it's the Milliman's proprietary predictive method that quantifies relative mortality risk of the applicant.
Oh my goodness. So if anyone has teenagers wondering what to do with their life, I think this is like a huge area in the future with statistics and statistical analysis, and AI is going to have a big play in this here, right? Right now we're using old school Milliman's. Okay, very good. This is amazing information.
And so for the audience that might be listening today, let's say you have your parents, right? They're a little bit older. They're taking 7 meds.
Yes.
And the effect of that when they're driving or taking,
Yes.
their ambulatory condition, all of those things go into the ability of that person to function properly, right?
Yes.
Either as a senior falling down and breaking their hips more often, and or a young teenager that's experimenting, right, and has no clue about the larger long-term effects financially and health-wise.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. And that's what's so interesting about cannabis use is it really goes the spectrum. A long time ago, when I was growing up, we thought it was a certain society that used it. And just like you said, I have a teenager, and she tells me, of course it's everywhere. It's always been everywhere, but now it's out in the open. Like I said, you go to any parking or anywhere in Las Vegas, you're going to smell it. And then I have my parents who are in their late 70s now, and very young, though, very youthful and energetic and busier than I am. And I have to keep up with them, but all of their friends, it was actually my aunt who told my mom, hey, start using this cream or start using that for, your leg cream, whatever else. And they live in Sun City. We have a couple Sun Cities here in Las Vegas, and there's a bunch around the country. And yeah, as the population, if you've seen the population chart, Richard, I'm sure you have with your statistics going on there, being a broker and in the health insurance, in the insurance industry. We are getting the average age of our citizens in the United States. The curve has completely changed, and we have more living in their 70s, 80s, 90s, even in becoming into the hundreds. So it's really incredible. And they're driving, and I look at my parents and all their friends, and you wouldn't know they're in their 70s. So pretty incredible. And everybody, it can affect any part of any age, any walk of life. So really interesting information. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
So I would also add that my wife is a school teacher here in the district, and the use of substances in the schools has increased dramatically, obviously, after pandemic,
Mhm.
and getting people psychologically used to going back into live classrooms instead of virtual.
Yeah.
And so that conversation affects, guilt by association, whether you use it or you're in an environment where it's used,
Mhm.
you're putting yourself into additional risk in any of those categories, whether it's your life, health, auto, disability, long-term care, your college entrance, right? It's maybe a subject to hanging. Well, that's a different category, but
But you can put numbers to the risk, which is
you
where me being like a more math science kind of person, I just love when you could put numbers to the risk. There's a time and place, like you said, it does have medicinal use. We've had many conversations on the endocannabinoid system and the amazing properties it has to alleviate so many disease states. I talked about this extreme nausea and vomiting in pregnancy, looking forward to clinical studies coming out showing the safety and the long-term cognitive effects of the child, that there is not harm. But we just need more studies, more conversations. But to be able to take that information and put the risk, the statistical analysis behind it when you're going to apply for any type of insurance. This is something, Richard, it's your specialty. I thank you so much for joining me today, getting this conversation out there, because it's all brand new to me here. And I love learning, and I know everyone else here does as well, or we wouldn't be on LinkedIn trying to grow businesses and share information. And we kind of missed the topic today, but also business insurance. When I started my blog for hyperemesis gravidarum, it was Stripe denied me because I had a blog about cannabis use, and that blew my mind. That was 2019. So much has changed in the last few years. They do now approve, as far as I know. I don't know, I went with a different company, but if you have ever questions about that CBD use in pregnancy, reach out to me. If you have questions about CBD use with any type of insurance, please reach out to Richard. Again, I hope you learned something from this today. Please do share it with your colleagues and reach out anytime with questions. Richard, thank you so much. I want to just give a quick plug. You have a seminar coming up. Go ahead and tell everyone how to find you there.
Yeah, so I do weekly How Money Works seminars, either here in my office on Trop and Rainbow here in Las Vegas, or virtual. And I'll send a link out to yourself as well as anyone that requests that. And then just as a final note on the business side, which let's probably plan another webinar for the business
Sure.
insurance.
Yeah.
It's not only the business owner, but the number of employees that workers' comp comes into mind on carriers that will not cover you if you are a cannabis owned or cannabis income driven business, as well as other stuff for business licensing. And that's a whole different topic.
Okay, we definitely have to have another talk on that one.
So, but yes, my office is on 4794 South Rainbow, Suite 135. And I'll send out the links for the free seminars that we do on how money works and how it affects,